All right, let's start off with the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The
of the
United
United States of America, to the republic
which
for
is
which it stands, one nation,
Nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
and with liberty
liberty,
and justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Very good. Okay, for the prayer for the day, we have Padre Bill.
All right. In a world where many are lonely, we thank you for friendship and community. In a world where many are despairing, we thank you for hope. In a world that many find meaningless, we thank you for faith. In a world where many are hungry, we thank you for the food we have. Amen.
Amen. That was kind of for people in Dallas, because I'm here in Texas. They're suffering today.
Yeah.
Jerry, thought of the day.
Thought of the day. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. Think of it.
Okay. Great. All right, thank you. Rebecca?
Here.
Here.
here. You guys
Oh,
are
okay.
Rebecca.
Do you have anything you want to add?
There isn't anything pressing, but there are a few things that are in accordance with some of you that are heading certain committees that I've been forwarding you emails and things that you need to be a part of. I would just want to emphasize the priority for them and not necessarily encourage. Yes, encourage. Actually, let me take that back. I encourage you, but look at it as an expectation, and it's part of your role to attend these seminars and opportunities to learn more about your role. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
I just wanted to make an announcement that Terry and I got our first vaccine shot yesterday,
Yeah.
and we survived. It wasn't much. And our next vaccine shot is March 17th on St. Patrick's Day. So that could be interesting.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. 4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah, March 17th.
Moderna.
Okay. Does any
So you got
member?
Pfizer?
No, we didn't get it at Kaiser. We got it through
No,
the county.
Pfizer.
Oh, Pfizer. No, we have Moderna.
Okay.
That's the 4 weeks.
Yeah. I think the county has Moderna.
By the way, I just read in the New England Journal of Medicine that the first shot over time gives you about 90% effectiveness,
Yeah.
which is good to hear. So
Yeah.
you're on your way.
Yeah, on my way. Okay, and again, Miles, don't leave. I need to talk to you at the end of this meeting. Okay, I'll introduce our speaker today. Her name is Julie Anderson, and she's known as Julie the Brain Lady. She is considered to be one of the nation's top experts on brain personality connection. She's a dynamic and engaging international public speaker, business communication and relationship consultant, as well as a published author. For more than 15 years, she has been igniting her audience to fire up their brains to inspire positive changes in the relationships of all in attendance. The information she shares will help those who hear to accelerate their success in life and business through discovery of their natural gifts. Julie's education background is vast. She studied natural health psychology, human resource development, and psychoneuroimmunology at Clayton College. She's a 3-time attendee of Realizations, Inc., Success Resources International's Brain and Innate Giftedness Program. She has also received CECs in the field of depression, anxiety disorders, and brain function. She has done extensive research in the areas of personality types, brain function, and anatomy, brain health and the brain personality connection. She's going to help us figure out how we get along with difficult people. Some of them may be on this call right now. Okay, Julie, please take it away. And let's give her a hand.
Yay. I will share the screen here so we can get going. All right. So what a topic, right? And believe it or not, this is one of the most popular subjects that I talk about, and it really has to do a lot with personality. And this is your DNA coded personality. This gives a lot of science, the science behind the psychology of what makes people tick, because no matter who you are, right, all of us at some point in time, we interact with someone who might just be a little bit difficult for our personality to deal with, or their personality is a little difficult for us. So what I want to do is first I want to just kind of energize your brain for a minute. And how we do that, normally if I were there in person, I have these really cool little brain stress balls that I toss out at the audience to get everybody's energy up and get everybody's attention. But since we don't have the ability to do that via the virtual world, what I have everybody do is just take a minute to do a couple of deep breaths. Now, when I ask you to take a deep breath, I'm going to have you do it a little bit differently than probably what you're normally thinking, what you are used to. When you breathe in through your nose and then out through your mouth, that's really a relaxation technique. What I want you to do is actually engage and energize your brain. So you're going to do that same pattern breathing. You're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 2, exhale for a count of 6. Only this time when you exhale, I want you to exhale through your nostrils. Neuroscience and scientific studies show that when you do that, you actually get this prefrontal cortex, this front portion of your brain, to be higher and to get more oxygen, and it actually engages it. So let's just do that real quick. We'll do 2 breaths together. We're going to breathe in through our nose for a count of 4. Breathe in. Hold for 2. Breathe out for 6. Once again, breathe in for 4. Hold for 2. Out for 6. All right. It's just kind of a cool little trick. They're finding out so many cool things about the brain and how we can maximize the power of the brain. And that's one of them. Just breathing a little bit differently is going to have a little bit different in what happens in your brain. As a matter of fact, this is one of the things that John Rady talks about. I follow a lot of neuroscientists and I kind of aggregate that information into what I teach. And he says that a better understanding of how the brain works will give us a better way to get a handle on who we are. And I like to extend that and say who other people are, right? How other people think. When we do this, it gives us a better way to just live life happier, maximize our brain power. One of my favorite neuroscientists is Dr. Richard Hyern. He did a lot of his work he did right out of Stanford there in the Bay Area. And he says most brains are believed to have an innate energy expenditure advantage in one of the 4 cerebral divisions. So if you're looking down at the top of the brain, and we're going to talk about this more as we go along, the brain has 4 main quadrants in it. So in your innate gifted quadrant, this energy expenditure advantage means you work easier there. That's what it means, because you use less oxygen, less glucose, less micronutrition, and your brain thinks faster in that quadrant. So it's literally easier for you to work there. Therefore, those types of things become part of your personality because it's just things that you automatically do. This information that we pull from neuroscience helps us to understand what I call the brain personality connection. And there are 5 main factors. So this is a combination of neuroscience and neuropsychology. We pull together, the brain personality is pulled together with what is your DNA code, literally, just like what your eye color was going to be, your hair color is going to be, how tall you are. That's all coded in your DNA. Well, so is your brain quadrant dominance. So are some of these brain personality connections. Your introversion, extroversion level is primarily set in your DNA code. Now, there are external stresses in life that can make that shift throughout your life, but the baseline where you're at on that measurement is in your DNA. Your gender's in your DNA, right? It's in your chromosome, whether you're a Y or an X chromosome, or XY or an XX chromosome. Your communication or sensory style preference, that brain quadrant dominance that I talked about. Those are your DNA code. That's half your personality. The other half is nurture. It's who raised you, how you were raised, societal expectations, family expectations, cultural trauma, all that kind of thing. All of that, those 5 factors, make up who you are, the beautiful personality that you have. And sometimes somebody else's beautiful personality doesn't click with yours. And it might be because one of these DNA coded factors in your brain personality is completely different than theirs. Now, to help you understand how this works, why there are areas of your brain that you just simply work better out of, I have everybody do a quick exercise with me. So take and fold, if you have a pen or something, put it down and take and fold your hands with me like this. All right, so they're all intertwined. Now, some of you have the left thumb on top like me, and some have the right thumb on top. Those with the left thumb on top, you guys are good to go. But can I talk privately with those of you with the right thumb on top afterwards? I'm just teasing. There's no difference between the two. It's just how your brain told your hands to fold. Now what I want you to do is I want you to kind of flatten your hands out and shift all those fingers so they're intertwined with the opposite thumb on top. How does that feel? A little different, a little awkward maybe. Another way to illustrate it is to fold your arms. Now some people will be like me and have their right arm on top. Some left arm on top, doesn't matter. Now try to do it the opposite way. Put the opposite arm on top. How does that feel? Some people can't even do it. And here's the point. The way you folded it the first time is the natural way your brain is wired. It didn't take any thought, you just automatically did it. I said, fold your hands, you said, okay. And that's how your hands wound up together. But in order to fold it differently, your arms, your hands, you have to think about it. And every single piece of thought takes oxygen, glucose, and micronutrition. It takes energy. So we have natural leads throughout our entire body. And what we're gifted in our brain is no different. There are just things that we do that are easier in our brain, right? We're going to cover 2 in this time period. We're going to cover 2 of the 5 factors that I talked about. We're just kind of go through them pretty fast to be able to give you just kind of an overview, and then we'll do some Q&A afterwards. The 2 that we're going to talk about is your introversion, extroversion, and the brain quadrant dominance. And I choose these 2 in this presentation because those are the ones that are going to be the most obvious in your personality or in the personalities that you're going to interact with. And oftentimes they have the strongest opposites, right? So when we're talking about introversion, extroversion levels, keep in mind, we're not talking about how shy or outspoken you were. Rather, we're talking about literally how much external stimulus, how much stuff do you want going on out here to keep your brain happy, engaged, and wide awake. Now you have 2 extremes, right? You've got extreme to moderate introverts, which make up approximately 30% of the population, and they prefer to spend the majority of their time in a very low stimulus environment. On the opposite end of the scale, you have your extroverts, and they're about 30% of the population, and they prefer to spend the majority of their time in a high stimulus environment or in environments where there is at least some amount of stimulus. In between, you have what we call ambiverts. A lot of people haven't heard of ambiverts, but basically what they are is they're individuals who, if you look at the hours of a day, if the introvert wants to be low stimulus by themselves the majority of the day, say 10 out of the 12 hours they're awake, the extroverts wants to be in high stimulus situation 10 out of the 12 hours that they're awake. The introverts about 6, half and half, right? Or the ambivert, sorry, they're about half and half. So they can perform as an extrovert and they can perform as an introvert. Because they are able to bounce back and forth, they don't have the extreme, the things that are noticeable extreme in their personality. But that 30% of the population at either end, they do. For the introvert, their brain literally, set by the reticular activating system, is naturally wide awake. They don't need a lot of stuff going on out here because it's self-running, right? They take in a ton of data second for second. And so too much information coming in at them is going to provide them with overload. And that's why they tend to be in situations that are quiet, where they're only with one or two other people. That's where they thrive, because that's where their brain is happy. I like to illustrate it as a camera, right? The introvert takes pictures of the world with these big, huge, wide angle lenses. So they only need one or two pictures throughout the day, and then they can spend the rest of the day digesting all the information that's in that picture. That's the brain of the introvert. So to protect their brain from being overstimulated, they're going to lean to, or they're going to try to be drawn to and prefer being in non-combative, non-competitive situations in their life, very calm situations in their life, because their brain's on, they're internal thinkers, right? The introvert also, when we get back to meeting together with people, sometimes you can tell an introvert off the bat by just watching them. They tend to walk into rooms very slowly because their brain is scanning the room for where is the lowest stimulus point in the room. They will oftentimes choose the seat that's around the outside of the room, closest to an exit. So if their brain gets overstimulated, they can step back and get out without really being noticed. That's an introvert. They also have a larger personal space. So if you're interacting with a person and they keep kind of backing away from you, they might be an introvert. They're not being rude, right? Their just brain is going, wait, give me a little bit more space. The extrovert, of course, is on the opposite end of the scale. Their brain is naturally sleepy. If they don't get external stimulus, they will physically fall asleep. My brother-in-law was a high extrovert. And years ago, when he was dating my sister, if he would come over and if we didn't engage with him in conversation, or he wasn't watching sports on TV, he would fall asleep within about 10 minutes. He would just fall asleep sitting there. Because for the extrovert, they're taking pictures of the world with this tiny telephoto lens. So they're constantly moving around, taking snapshots so they can draw in enough information to keep their brain happy. They're going to lean towards those seemingly chaotic environments that have lots of stimulus just to keep their brain awake, right? So that's the introvert versus the extrovert from a brain point of view. So now if you're at one of those extremes, how do you interact with them? How do you appreciate that their personality they're not being rude if they're an introvert. They're not being rude or too loud or obnoxious if they're an extrovert. It's just the DNA code in their brain. So now that you know that information, you can honor the extrovert by doing things that keeps their brain stimulus level requirements in mind. Give them their personal space. Be cautious at putting them on the spot to stand up in front of a crowd or in front of a group and say something. I will never, when I do these lives, I always ask for volunteers. I never point to someone and say, what's the answer? Because if it's an introvert, I don't know yet, it could really make them uncomfortable. Allow them time to process internally, because that's the way their brain works. And be careful don't ask them to be in those high stimulus situations, because it's going to be harmful for their brain. Oops, went the wrong way. So now the extrovert, I keep going the wrong way. Let me do this again. Okay, the extrovert. Be understanding of the extrovert, right? Now they have a much closer, much smaller personal space. Encourage their enthusiasm, accept it, understand that that's the way they're going to be. They're going to talk out their problems. They're going to talk out to come up to some solution with what they're dealing with. They're going to keep conversations moving, so keep up with them, and they're going to have that extra energy. And if you're an introvert interacting with an extrovert, understand they're not trying to be rude or get on your nerves, right? You just have to sometimes step away and let them know, I'm a little overstimulated. I just got to take some time back. And oftentimes that people understand once you explain it to them from this brain personality connection situation. Now we're going to talk about that brain quadrant dominance, that area of a brain, one of the 4 quadrants in the brain that you spend the least amount of energy to work out of. Here we're looking at the brain from the top down, and we're just going to talk really briefly about each of these 4 quadrants and the personality traits that you're going to see in people who have these different brain quadrant leads. Now, they have the leads because they're spending 1/100th the amount of energy, up to 1/100th the amount of energy to work in one of those 4 quadrants. So because those tasks come easy to them, it oftentimes is part of their personality. The first quadrant that we're going to talk about is that front left. The front left is what I call the boss quadrant. And the reason why I call it the boss BQD is because this is where all of your boss type tasks take place in your brain. If you are doing logical, inductive, deductive reasoning, you're using primarily this section of your brain. If you are telling people what to do, delegating authority, you are primarily using this section of your brain. If you are doing fact-based problem solving, fact-based decisions, you're using this section of the brain. So if this is where you spend 1/100th the amount of energy in, if this is where you fold your hands, these traits are natural in your personality. Now, I gave them the color and shape of the red triangle. Red because subconsciously in our brains, red has a very strong, induces a very strong feeling. And this is one of the strongest personalities you'll meet out there, especially if they are an extroverted red triangle. I give them the triangle because sometimes their personality can be just a little bit prickly. I like using the illustration, and again, my own family. My sister, I have 4 sisters. One of them is the red triangle. And years back, we were out shopping in the mall. And as we're sitting there having lunch, we are reminiscing about how the clothing style is the same as it was back in the early 80s. And I made the comment, if I would just lose 40 to 50 pounds, I could pull all those clothes I have stored under the bed out. They'd all fit. I'd have a completely new wardrobe and not have to spend a penny, right? And I'd be completely in style. My red triangle sister, my boss BQD sister, looks at me and she says, Julie, get rid of the clothes. You're never going to lose the weight. Well, you can just imagine. My initial desire was to go straight for her throat, right? However, I understood the brain personality connection, and that saved her from a trip to the ER and me from a night in jail, because I stopped and I thought, okay, wait, inductive, deductive reasoning. I mentioned earlier that I have 3 beautiful boys. They're all grown now. In 1992, I delivered my 3rd child. He happened to be 22.5 inches long and almost 10 pounds. So it's easy to say these hips are never going to see the size they were before I delivered my 3 kids. So from a logical point of view, facts in, facts out, I'm not going to be that size again. My sister was not being rude or inconsiderate. She was just simply inductive, deductive reasoning, being logical, not hurtful, right? So this is the way the bosses are. It flows naturally to them. We're going to go now to the master coordinator. This is the back left portion of the brain. When you are sequencing things, you're making lists, you're doing anything that's very ABC organized, you're using this section of the brain. As a matter of fact, this section of the brain is where spelling is housed. And all spelling is just a sequence of letters that make up a word. C-A-T always spells cat, right? This is a section of the brain where we track time and money. So these individuals are almost always punctual, on time, and they're very good with their money. They're gifted at accurately performing detailed procedures like data entry type things, alphabetizing things, anything that's repetitive and organizing. They're very dependable and practical. If they say they're going to do something for you and they say they're going to be at your house at 1 p.m., they will be there at 1 p.m. and they will do it to a detail, because this is where all of the details are housed in our brain. I gave them the blue square because blue actually, it's a very calming color subconsciously. Some studies have even showed that certain blue tones will lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, lower your appetite. So that's kind of, because you can depend on them, it's kind of like, oh, they got it handled. So I've given them the color blue. I give them the shape of a square because everything is neatly in its box for them. All right. So that is the second of the 4 brain quadrant dominance is. We're going to jump now to the right side of the brain. And one of the really important things that I want to explain about the difference between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, two main factors. One is the right hemisphere has many more neural connections down to the limbic system in the lower portions of the brain, many more neural connections. This is the limbic system is the home of emotion. So right brainers have many more connections to emotion than left brainers do. Words are also housed on the left brain, not on the right side of the brain. So the right side of the brain is very visual. That's where your pictures are. That's where you visualize things. And the strongest visualization portion of the brain is the front right. For that reason, these are the visionaries. They're able to see things as they can be, not as they are. So their brains are always moving forward. Very innovative. They're energized by innovation, new exploration, brainstorming, creative problem solving. The left front quadrant's a little bit more active when you're doing fact-based problem solving. But if there's pieces to the puzzle missing, or you have to think outside of the box, it's the innovator. It's the front right that is going to be gifted in that. They see the big picture, not the minute details. Now, here's where sometimes your difficult personalities can come into play. When you look at this screen, if you're spending 1/100th the amount of time or energy to work in the innovator quadrant, it's going to take you almost 100 times as much energy to work in the diagonally opposite. So while the innovator has the big picture, the master coordinator carries the details. So they need each other, but they oftentimes will conflict because it's 100 times as difficult for the innovator to think master coordinator and for the master coordinator to think innovator. So sometimes their personalities conflict. This is also, they've actually been able to identify the home of entrepreneurialism in the brain, and it's in the front right portion. So a lot of your entrepreneurs are innovator brain quadrant dominances, or have their home, they fold their hands in that quadrant of the brain. Now, the last of the four quadrants is the nurturer. This is the back right section of the brain, back here. This is, back up to the color and shape of the innovator. I give them the purple imagination bubble. Purple because it's kind of that mystical color in the subconscious. Imagination bubble because they're always imagining. They're always thinking in their head. So that's why I give that color and shape to them. The nurturer, the last of the four quadrants, this is the section of our brain where all of the peacekeeping and harmony takes place. As a matter of fact, this is where the home of music is. So literally everything that's harmonious highly activates this section of the brain on a PET scan. So these individuals are gifted at bringing harmony to everything, connecting everything. This is the most sensitive and sentimental of the four brain quadrants because that's where sentimentality, the home of sentimentality is the back right portion of the brain. They are the most emotional or the most connected to emotion of all the four quadrants. And in problem solving, they're always going to take that emotional view, not the facts. So for them, the most difficult portion of the brain for them to access is the red triangle section, the front left. It's difficult for them to make fact-based decisions or to tell people what to do because it takes 100 times as much energy. Plus, it might disturb the harmony. It might make somebody happy if they make unhappy if they make the wrong decision. And they're all about making people happy and connectedness, right? They don't want to lose that. So for them, their color and shape is the green circle. I give them the green circle because green is very connected to nature. And this is where we process our connection to nature is in this section of the brain. So if they're gifted there, if this is where they fold their hands, this is going to be something that just comes naturally in their personality. So that's the reason for green. And circle because everything's connected to them. Work, home, children, in-laws, parents, it's all connected, right? So those are the four quadrants. Now we're going to do something really cool, really fun. We only have a few minutes late. I have put in the chat this link here. if you want to, we'll take a minute. You can go to this link and take a real quick, it only has 7 questions on it, this 7-question assessment, and see where you fall in those 4 quadrants. All right. Now, this is a very simple, very fun, there's no information capture on there, so you don't have to worry about filling out your information. But it just kind of gives you, it's just a little fun assessment. My actual assessment is 27 markers per quadrant, and we're only dealing with 7 in this. So it's not comprehensive, but it's fun. Once you have your answer, you might type in the chat what you came up as. The boss, the nurturer, the innovator, or the master coordinator. I like throwing up these cartoons. They kind of give us a funny way of looking at the brain quadrants. This one says, so while you were sleeping, I talked to the doctors and they worked it out so you can still keep building the deck when you get home. Possible brain quadrant dominance of the wife. Most likely a boss. Not a lot of emotion in her decision. She just wants to get the project done and she's going to delegate the authority to get it done. This one's always a cute one. I like this one. We need to know your parents' income, your expected summer earnings, your total earnings since the age of 2, the average income of all your first cousins, your father's, Barbara's total assets, 17 forms of ID, 131 personal references. Ethel here is obviously a master coordinator. These are ridiculous requirements, but she is going to track every detail and do it exactly the way she's been asked to do it because that's her natural brain strength. Another cute one. Ready for work at 8 o'clock, Velez. Not just here at 8 o'clock, ready for work. Who has the hardest time tracking time? The innovator, right? Because time's tracked in the opposite portion of the brain. It's most difficult for them to access. Come on, Ken, if we've got to lay some people off, at least let us have some fun with it. Probably innovators. I forgot to mention that the home of sarcasm is also in the front right section of the brain. It is the innovator. I don't know if you can relate to that at all, Brian. You said you were an innovator. We got a master coordinator. All right. Just some fun ways to look at it. So in wrapping up, how do you deal with the difficult personalities? How do you interact in a way that's going to build a dynamic relationship? Well, this next slide, feel absolutely free to take a screenshot of it, to take a picture of it, or if you want, I always offer to the people I present to this deck, this slide deck, if they'd like to have it. This is just some tips on how do you communicate, how do you bridge that, make that relationship with them and understand the way that their brain thinks for each of the 4 quadrants. The boss, you've always got to just be to the point, give them the proof, the cost benefit, show them why this is going to help them achieve their goals. Do everything in a functional, logical way with them and be understanding of the fact that they're going to take control. They're going to delegate the authority. They're going to tell people what to do. That's just their natural personality. The master coordinator, give them all those details that they want, right? Show them all the proof. They want the details. They're gonna need to be organized. They're gonna want the status quo, and they're gonna always want to be on time. So never be late for them. The innovator, you want to do just the opposite. Show them the global idea, the cutting edge, the latest trend. You know, what is it? Don't give them too much detail, and be appreciative that they're going to do things a little differently. And the nurturer, it's all about the harmony. You want them on your team. What this project is going to do or what you need from them is going to pull them together, and we're going to work together, and we're all going to find enjoyment out of making those connections. So those are the 4 quadrants and the introversion, extroversion portions of the brain personality connection. Do we have any questions that we can answer for anyone?
Yeah, I have a couple. I was looking at this, and let's say you're married and your spouse is a extreme introvert, and and I am a extreme extrovert. How do they get along?
We had this same question yesterday when I did this for another group. It's very interesting that the brain will subconsciously be drawn to its opposite. And it does that because it thinks if I'm connected with this opposite person, they can do the things that are difficult for my brain and will make a whole, right? When you're in that situation, first and foremost, I always say educate yourself. Learn everything there is to know about the introverts and the extroverts and how it relates to this is actually their wiring. You can't change them. You can try to, but it's going to make both of you miserable. So understand what they are and then honor each of those differences. You know, there are going to be times when it's like, she needs to stay home in the quiet, but you need the activity. So you want to go out with the guys or whatever that looks like. And understand that this isn't a take a personal. This is my brain needs this and your brain needs this. So we're going to honor what each brain needs and we'll come together, you know, the rest of the time. So it really is fully understanding those personality dynamics, having open conversations about it, and not taking personal what the other person needs. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions? Unmute yourself.
I guess one question in organizations is what happens when you have two people who have, for example, the boss personality, and how you reconcile that, how you get one or the other to reconfigure their personality to fit in with an organization.
Yeah. First is find where you can best use their natural skills, where they're most comfortable, or where they can use these types of personality traits to benefit the organization. If you have two bosses, say on a team, and they're both fighting for top dogs, so to speak, give them their own projects within that team. Give them their own areas that they can be in charge of and let them do that and give them the boundaries. Let them know this is your section that you're responsible for and Joe is responsible for this or Jenny is responsible for this. So you stay in your lane, right? By doing that, it oftentimes will help to let everybody know this is, you're both strong personalities. Give them the personality assessment, right? Tell them this is what you are. So to keep from hitting those points at each other, stay in your own lane. Here's what you have and stay in your own lane. That oftentimes helps.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering, in a romantic situation, you've heard of the attachment theory, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so to me, it seems like the boss and the nurturer, the boss oftentimes is the avoidant and the nurturer is the anxious person a lot of times. How do you reconcile both of those psychological schools of thought as far as your information is concerned?
Yeah. So again, a lot of it has to do with one of the reasons why we train this is to help people understand these are things that are connected to your natural DNA code. So instead of going in and trying to change these dynamics and say, you have to mold to me and what I need, you're saying, I'm going to learn who you are and I'm going to accept you that way. I tell when I do this in person, you know, I have the room split up into the 4 quadrants and I physically move throughout it. And I tell them, you know, for the nurturers, I'm like, you have to develop a little bit of more of an orange peel of a case around your circle, not a peach, right? Because these triangle personalities are gonna poke you. You have to develop a little bit of a thick skin. The problem with that dynamic when they're together is the nurturer almost always takes it personally they don't like me, there's something wrong with me, which is where you said that's that anxiety that comes up. But if they can try to understand, this is just like my sister, it's inductive deductive reasoning. They're not going to talk about the emotion because they're not that connected. It's difficult for them to do so, especially if it's a man. I didn't talk about the male female difference, but there's a difference in the way we express our words and how our brain activates when we're expressing emotion. So understanding that this is the way their brain works, I'm not going to take it as personal when they say something that might be a little pokey. I'm going to learn that that's just the way their brain functions. And the flip is the same. Instead of avoiding the emotion of this situation, kind of taking that deep breath, oxygenating the brain and going, I need to hear this person out because this is my spouse or this is my teammate. And they have a value in their opinion. They have a value in what they're going to bring to the table. I just have to work at logically pulling the value out of the emotion. And it becomes more of a game, you know, okay, I got to pull out the words. I got to pull out the message. So I don't know if that helps at all, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
But it has to be that both sides are educated, right? You can't just have one side educated, because if one side's educated and the other side isn't, then the educated side is the one bearing the brunt of the adjustments. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
I hope, go ahead.
Is there any more questions? Remember to unmute yourself.
I hope this was fun information for you. If you want more information, I always love talking about the brain. I absolutely love talking about the brain. I have a really cool little tip book that's on communication tips for all of these different personality dynamics. And if you want to set up a time offline to chat, feel free to reach out. I would love to do that.
Yes. This was really great.
Oh, let me give you this.
It was really done greatly. I mean, I didn't know what you were going to present or how you were going to present it, but it was great. I mean, I really understood now, and actually Terry and me are having a discussion about things right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The innovator and the master coordinator.
Yes.
That works good. I always tell people they need to be your new best friend. Like literally for us on my team that I have working for me, I specifically hire master coordinators to do all the details.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to edit my book. I don't want to have to do all of that sequential detail stuff. I'm going to hire somebody to do that. And I love them and I work at giving them the details that they need. And then I let them go and do what they're good at.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's good. Okay. All right. Is this the last time anybody wants to ask another question? Thank you very much, Julie. I have this recorded, and so we store these and give them to other Rotary clubs if they want to check on you and maybe call you. So just to let you know.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much. You were really good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. And we would all be clapping and you'll be hearing it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. I just have a couple announcements about next week. Next speaker, I think especially Greg will be asking a lot about this. The speaker is, where is she? Okay, is Jennifer Martin. I think she talked to our group a couple years ago. I know it was way before the COVID pandemic, but she's going to talk about estate planning for small businesses and Prop 19 issues. I asked her to look into that to give us some insight. Even though I think, Prop 19 is that new proposition that passed that allows people over 55 to sell their property and keep their old Prop 13 base anywhere in the state. But there's problems with transferring properties to your kids now. It's a little bit different. So that would be our speaker next week. And I don't have anything going on right now. I mean, we're still working on the play garden at Almaden Lakes. We have, we're slowly raising money. I mean, besides the money we got from the city and the county, we're raised over 20,000. So we need to speed it up somehow. So I'm hoping, I'm going to be contacting you guys, and I'm going to provide a link where you can send it to your friends and they can donate money through our link. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they need to talk about? All right. The meeting's over. Miles, stay on. Don't click off.